Today, we're talking about home, which is, of course, as Linda's thankfully explained, like a very generative area for discussion and very productive here. So we happen to have three different panelists, myself included, that are approaching home from very different contexts, but that speak to different parts of the world and different diasporas that we all engage in our work. So just to foreground some of these ideas, we'll be thinking a bit about where home looks on local to global stages, about migration and the different meanings of home to us. We're also thinking a lot about the way that technologies can be used in artwork that thinks about home, the position of the XR spectrum within technology. And for anyone who doesn't know what that means, that's extended reality, which is inclusive of the range from augmented reality through to fully immersive virtual reality.
Because you can never really discuss or even present something in its entirety, a subject matter of this and the kind of indication of the diaspora. So each individual iteration, people, you always say like we keep on coming back to this. It's because we have to keep on unraveling and trying to figure out something within it. And each successive artist and generation are chipping away slowly, to remove that kind of icing on the cake, to find the nuances underneath, which, no one person cannot do it on its own. And you can never say everything in one go. And so it requires multiple voices to be able to do
it. Collaboration and co-creation comes through working a lot with communities, where they can, whether it's me making artwork with them, or it's like encouraging them to think about their own stories and contribute their own experiences. So I think that's a way of kind of using my work as like a starting point, and then it leads to so many more perspectives and interpretations and point of views.
Gamification, I guess it moved away from the kind of the spectacle for a while. I think there was like a period in the noughties where everything was about this huge spectacle, and then they wanted to engage people even more. And of course, to engage people, you make them play. I feel sometimes it's a bit gimmicky, but I actually quite like it because it introduces, younger generations.
For me, it's like a lot of culture and things like that we experience through our senses, and kind of like through the feel of fabric, sounds, textures. And I think integrating that technology has allowed me to bring those elements into my work in a way that expands that experience.
That's so, so even thinking about our own, again, our position and access and making things possible for everybody. And again, this is, like, I love what Daya said moment, but like the idea of the Sari is both ancient and futuristic. So it like does occupy this sort of liminal space in between that bridges those different generational and, the different changing meanings for it. I teach a class about digital placemaking, which is new. And, in terms of engaging my students, I have them think about their ways that they like their digital footprint and how it maps their places in the world. So there's a couple things like what 3 words, which I think is really interesting, that uses like, I think about like GIS mapping and stuff and like how that locates you. I have them look at their photos on their, like, especially on Apple phones, and then like zoom out and see it on the map that tracks their own, like the places they've spent a lot of time. And they always find that really like kind of quite compelling because, they're snapping pictures and not necessarily thinking about it as part of like a picture of who they are and where they are.
I think with the digital aspect, there's quite an interesting, because like for example, with my work, you've got the actual physical piece that can be exhibited, but there's also the kind of the documentation of that and where that lives. So like having a life beyond that exhibition online. So at the moment we've got like a trailer video that will hopefully come out soon. So it's kind of like you're not only accessing people that come to the museum, but also a whole wider global audience.
On coming back to this impermanence and kind of because it's applicable to such a wide, broad reach that, I mean, that's the same problem that you have with the diaspora pavilion, no head rules all. Everyone has to sit within their, spaces. So you're almost like, the exhibition itself cannot be permanent. It has to be consistently transitioning.
It's like I personally became quite distant from culture growing up, because I didn't feel, that belonging. It was through art that I started exploring these stories, and I think it's really deepened my connection with my family, but also like my grandparents.
Being able to recognize those things a lot later in life is that interest and like exploration, which hopefully expands your experiences and engagement both with your cultural background that you can relate to older generations as well as also bring it forward to the new generations.
It's both a love letter to my actual family and, the ability to platform. I always think about the fact that, like, being able to see yourself represented is such a privilege that I'm trying to reproduce. And it then also becomes like a conversation with my, family across the diaspora and people as well. So yes, it allows for immortalizing things that I think are very, very important and like leaving that stamp behind, which I'm really proud to do.